Hey everybody, so now that the shitstorm of a year that we call 2020 is behind us, we're all looking to this new year, hoping for way better things. Fingers crossed that it is. And we all start making our resolutions for the year, the things to make ourselves better people. So I thought it'd be fun to go ahead and make a list of my New Year's gaming resolutions. Hope you enjoy. Number 10. So back over Cyber Week, I picked this little bad boy up. It's a Raspberry Pi 4. I picked it up. I know people do a lot of really cool things with these. If you haven't seen one of them before, you ought to check out some of the videos and stuff. People do a lot of amazing stuff with them. I just basically wanted to use it for an emulator. That's something that I'd be new to. I've never done with the emulation. So I picked it up in hopes that I could get to doing some of that. And what I would like to do with is I'd like to build a multicade. I saw a lot of cool stuff on the internet about people building their own, and I know there's kits and different stuff that you can get for them, which may be the direction that I end up going with it if I do it. But I thought that would be a pretty cool thing for 2021 to build a little multicade and set it up here in the game room. Number 9. So 2020 pretty much screwed us all from doing just about anything fun that involved being around other people. No concerts, no amusement parks, and no conventions. Even though I have been off and on collecting over the past few years, I have actually never been to a gaming convention. I've been to a few other conventions for other things I have collected over the years, like numismatics and comics, just never a gaming convention. Hopefully 2021 will be better and we will all be able to get out to a few of them. Just in case, I better start saving some extra cash now. Numero 8. So I've been playing Clash of Clans for almost 7 years now. It's the only mobile game that has ever kept my attention for longer than a week or two. Clash of Clans is a free-to-play tower defense type of strategy game on iOS and Android. You start out with a base that's wrecked, you build it up a little bit. Once you've built it up to a certain point, you're allowed to join a clan, which is a group of other people, and you're able to support one another with donating troops and spells to one another. And you're able to do wars with one another where your clan faces off against other clans in different type of scenarios. They have a couple of different types of wars for different kinds of rewards. The game has evolved a lot over time, and it continues to keep its players interested by doing that. They release quarterly content updates with new troops, new spells, adjustments to the defenses and to the offensive capabilities of the troops and the heroes that you have within the game. Kind of keep everything balanced. They're really good at that, so nothing ever gets too overpowered. And it makes players have to adjust their game and learn how to play the game continuously. So it keeps things interesting. I made it to Town Hall 13 this past year, and I've been grinding away to attempt to fully max out my base. My clan name is 2570. If anyone out there is looking for a new clan, we're always looking for some active new players. Seven. So the next thing I wanted to add to my list for resolutions for 2021 was online gaming. So it's a huge part of the industry nowadays. I know a ton of people that do it. My kids, they love it. They have their group of friends on their PlayStation Network and on the Xbox Live. They play it on it a lot. I guess I'm kind of old school. I've never really gotten into it. I've never really even tried it, to be truthful with you. Other than playing online through some of my iPad apps that I have, like the Clash of Clans that I mentioned before, I have never played online through the PlayStation Network or through the Xbox Live. And this year, I think I'm going to try it out. So if anybody out there maybe wants to give me some tips, tell me which games to avoid, maybe somebody wants to hook up and play some games, maybe we can do something like that. Just let me know.
My family and I are looking for sex.
The next thing that I thought that would be interesting would be to expand into some new platforms. Basically, the platforms that I have are the platforms that I've played and I've grown up playing. The NES, the SNES, the N64. Then I moved into the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, and on up through the PlayStation consoles, the 3, the 4, and hopefully at some point the 5. But there's so many other consoles out there. There's so many other things that I've never even tried to play that I think would be really cool to expand into some new platforms. It would open up a whole new world of games for me to collect and to play. if you guys have any games that you recommend, any types of systems that you recommend. I mean, I know about all of them, like the Jaguar and the TurboGrafx 16 and all the different Sega systems out there. But if you guys have anything that's near and dear to your heart, let me know in the comments, and maybe it's something that I should be checking out. Halfway there with number 5. So I, like many of you, have probably tried to secure a new PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to play on, and have failed miserably. I've tried multiple times on days when I've heard they were going to be on certain websites. I remember the one day that they said they were going to be on Walmart's website. They were going to be on there, 4 times that day, at noon, at 3, at 6, and at 9 p.m., and that they were going to be available for people. And every time that I got on there, I struck out. I'd get the thing, I'd get it in my cart, I'd get to the checkout, and the site would crash. The bots would eat all of them up, so that all those resellers that are out there, those dirtballs, could charge everybody, an extra few $100 to $1,000 per console for the things. I refuse to pay that much money for it, especially considering that in a couple months you're going to be able to find them everywhere on every shelf. And besides that, in the meantime, why not just let the library build up a little bit? There's no sense in, if I could get one at cost, I'd get one right now, but there's no sense running out and paying a premium to get it when there's like 2 or 3 exclusive games for the system. So, in 6 months, maybe 3 months, but probably more like 6 months, you'll be able to find them right in the store. There'll probably be some other games that'll be out. Maybe they'll have the Cyberpunk game all fixed up, and it'll be a good one to start out with on the next generation. But until that point, I'm going to wait until I can get one at cost. But that is one of the things that in 2021 that I'd like to do. Number 4. So with the launch of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, now is going to be one of the best times to start filling out the collections that you have for your PlayStation 4 and your Xbox One. Currently, I've got about 40 games in my in my PlayStation 4 collection, and probably about 10 in my Xbox One collection. Honestly, they don't have hardly any in the Xbox One collection because we only recently just actually picked up an Xbox One. It was given to us by a friend that was getting rid of it. So that'd be something interesting to get into. So basically now, while they're at their cheapest and their most available, is going to be the time to pick them up. So like a lot of you, I'm sure, one of the most unfun parts of actually having video game collection is having to clean them. So I have a crap load of NES cartridges that I just have I've been getting at them a little bit, but I have a ton of them in here that I need to get to clean. It's going to take me forever. I like to take them and actually open them up and pull them apart, make sure the insides look pretty good, and then give a good cleaning of the pins and everything, the pins in the inside and the outside of the cart. I usually use Bright Boy to polish the pins, and then some kind of alcohol or something to wipe them off to shine them up at the end. I did buy some 1-Up cards, which does simplify it a little bit, but when I do the initial clean, I really like to really open them up and get in there and take a look at them. So I bet you there's probably about, I would guess about 100 carts in here that I still have to clean. Cool story about a lot of these carts that are in here is it's been probably a while back, over 5 years ago. I decided that I wanted to get an NES again, an old NES, a little nostalgia, and I decided, so I went out and got that, and then when I got it, I had gotten a few games that I had wanted to get for it, and my wife was mentioning it to somebody that she worked with, and then a few days later, the gentleman came in with this whole tote of games, definitely over 100. I think it's like 140 games or something that he gave us, and he didn't want anything for them. He's just like, hey, they're stored in my basement, and I don't need them anymore, and I saw that you had you said your husband got an NES, so maybe you guys can get some use out of them. So there's a lot of good games in here too. I've pulled some of them out and already cleaned them, of course, and played them, but there's still so many more of them. And I think there's even some doubles of games in here, but I've got quite a bit to go through to clean up, and then I can actually maybe get a little time with each of them and play them. So I have my work cut out for me.
You ain't first, last.
So the dreaded gaming backlog. It happens to every one of us, and it only gets bigger every day as more and more games are released. So I want to just touch on a few of the titles that I know I've got sitting, and I've got a lot more than this that I would like to get to. It's just all a matter of having the time and the ability to play the games. But I just picked a few out of my collection that I have sitting here that I'd like to actually get back into and play, maybe catch some footage of and share with you guys. But so going back to the NES days, the two of them I picked out of my collection that I would like to get back into is Monster in My Pocket. It's a nice little platformer game. I'd really like to really dig into it and play a little deeper into it. I've only really gotten the chance since I've gotten it to really kind of play like within like the first couple of levels of the game, but I'd really like to get down to it and get into it a lot deeper than I am. And another one that a lot of you probably do videos on and stuff like that. It's for the NES that is a kind of an RPG, and everybody talks well about it, but I've only ever played the beginning of the game, is Star Tropics. That one looks like it's a lot of fun. Everybody says it's comparable to like a Legend of Zelda type of adventure, so I can't wait to get back into that one. Moving on to the Super Nintendo, I picked one out that I'd like to dig into as well. The Super Mario Legend of the Seven Stars RPG. They say this is the spiritual successor, right, or predecessor, I should say, to the Paper Mario series. This one as well, I picked it up a while back, and I only was able to play it for a little bit, and just haven't had time to get it back up there and play some more into it. So, and moving on to the next system, the N64, I picked out Perfect Dark. I know it's probably been played to death by a lot of people, but I myself have only ever got a chance to play it a little bit. Back in the old Nintendo 64 days when I played a lot of multiplayer couch co-op with friends and family that would come over. We played a lot of GoldenEye, a lot of Quake, Quake 2, but I didn't have this game at that point in time, so I'm sure I'm probably going to miss a piece of the nostalgia for it, because, you know, obviously it was probably a huge multiplayer title with all those other games in that time frame, but I like to play through the single player, see what it's like a little more. Another game that I played, and I played a lot of this back in the old days, Ogre Battle 64. I love this game. It was a lot of fun to play back in the old days. I recently picked it back up again. Amazing. I wish I would have been able to hold on to my original copies of it, because it did cost me a couple bucks to pick it back up again. But I never finished the game. I played deep into the game, but I never actually beat the game. So I want to get back to it and try to close that one out. So moving on to the next system would be the PlayStation 2, and this is another one that I played quite a bit back when it first came out. This is my original copy of it. I played pretty deep into it but never beat it. I would like to get back into it. I know this one was pretty controversial when it first came out, because, you know, you're like pretty well graphically murdering people, but it was kind of fun. It's kind of like a stealth game. You don't really want to take these gangs that you're fighting head on. You want to kind of creep through and stealth kill and stuff. So it was an interesting game to play. I'd like to finish it. This is one that I picked up not that long ago that I'd heard so many good things about, Okami. And I started playing it just to see what it was like, and the art design is awesome in the game. So I'm definitely going to be getting back into this one real soon. I'd like to see what this game has to offer. So moving on to the next generation after that, I have tons of games for the PS3 and the Xbox 360 that are in the backlog. I mean, there's just so many games, you just don't have the time to do it. But here are a few that I either started the series of these games and never finished all the way through the series, or I think there's one in here that I didn't play at all, but I'd like to. So Resistance 3, I started into this game, the third game. I beat the first two Resistance games. I liked them. I mean, I know a lot of people don't really care for the games, and I've seen some hate for those games, but I actually liked the first two games quite a bit. This one was a little bit harder for me to get into. I don't know why. It just didn't grab me the way the first two did. But I played a little ways into it. I'd like to get back into it and finish the trilogy. The next two are actually parts 2 and parts 3 of a trilogy on the PlayStation 3. I just didn't get time to get back to these games. I beat the first BioShock game. I loved that game. It was just such a weird, kind of interesting story. Just kept pulling you back in. I know of friends that finished the second one. I'd heard good things about the third one. You can see this is still a sealed copy. It won't be, if I have my way. I want to get through it. I want to beat this one out and then get back into this one as well. And the last game for the PS3 that I'd like to jump into is Heavy Rain. I heard some really good things about this. It being like a mystery, like a thriller type of private investigator type of game. So definitely want to check this one out too. For the Xbox 360, I'll start with Elder Scrolls Oblivion. The Elder Scrolls games, and one of the other games I've got on here is an Elder Scrolls game too. It's for the Switch actually. It's Skyrim. These games are so big that I just get sidetracked because I'm kind of like a completionist with a game. So I could spend hundreds of hours messing around with these games. I love the fact that they put Skyrim out on the Switch, so I can play that a little bit here and there as I'm moving around and doing different things. But I played a good ways into Oblivion, but like I said, there's so many side quests and stuff like that. It's just hard to get through it for me. I mean, through the whole storyline of the game, there's so much to do. Another game that I started and I really liked, it just didn't have time to finish it up as well, was Alan Wake for the Xbox 360. This was a pretty fun game. Different, very different. It's like a third-person perspective. A lot of stuff, you're investigating a mystery, and a lot of stuff is dark. It's almost, I don't know if I call it a horror game, but from what I played of it, but it was definitely pretty cool, and I'd like to finish that. For the Wii U, a couple of games that I'd like to get into that I thought looked pretty neat. There's a lot of games for the Wii U. The Wii U, I didn't have the system myself. My son had it, and he pretty much kept it in his room, and he played it. And then he kind of moved on, of course, to the PlayStation 4, and he wants a PlayStation 5. But well, we'll see when he is able to get that. But now that he's got the PlayStation 4 and he's got his gaming laptop, he's not really worried about the Wii U anymore. So I've kind of taken it over. So it's a totally new system for me to be able to jump into and explore a lot of the games. Pikmin 3. This one I think recently just came out for the Switch as well, which might be worth picking up just to be able to play it on the go. It just looks like a neat little game. I don't really even know anything about it. It just looks like a pretty neat little game. Another one for the Wii U was a launch title for the Wii U. I don't think it's reviewed super well with people, but anyways, it's something that I'd like to check out. ZombiU, because I like these types of games. So we'll see. I believe I picked it, and I picked this one up off of eBay pretty cheap, and it's a sealed brand new game, so I'd like to check that out. So since I'm here at the Switch, I'll just go to the other game that I want to finish up. So far, I haven't finished a lot of games on the Switch. I spent a ton of time in Breath of the Wild. Like I said, I'm a completionist, so when I get into a game, I just want to play until I'm done with it. But Super Mario Odyssey. I've been playing it. I've did pretty well with it. I'm going to finish that one up. That's probably the next game that's going to be finished up on my list. So moving on to the PS4 and the Xbox One, are some games that I've started that I want to finish that I just haven't yet. They're great games. From what I've played of them, highly recommend anybody who hasn't. I'm sure most of you out there have though. Horizon Zero Dawn, that is a fantastic game. I've probably gotten about halfway through it and just haven't been able to finish it up. The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. I know I didn't even get near halfway into this game, but there's just so much stuff to do. But fantastic open world game. And The Outer Worlds. This one I really liked a lot, and I got this, and it wasn't long after I got this before my kids kind of took the PlayStation 4 over, and I really don't get a lot of time at all with the PlayStation 4 anymore. So at some point they'll move on to something else. I'll get it back, and I'm going to be trying to finish these up. The last game on my list for the backlog that I want to finish, I'm very ashamed that I have not finished this game because I love this game. I love this series of games. Is Fallout 4. I could probably beat this game pretty much at any time with where my saves are. I've just played into it so much, played all the side quests, did a lot of the exploring. For a while I got into the building mods where you can use different aspects of the game to build your settlement up. There's a great YouTube channel that actually does a lot of the mods. It's Schooled Zone, I believe, and he does the Fallout 4 mod shop class. And I'm gonna correct myself if I'm wrong on this. I'll edit it, but I believe that's what it's called. But if you like Fallout 4, it's pretty cool, the amazing stuff that the community has been able to build, and he'll teach you a lot of different things about how to build within the game. So with that being said, moving on to the number one thing on my list.
Number 1.
So like everybody else, I have that large backlog of games that I've really been playing with a little bit, or some of them that haven't even started yet, but that I just really want to get back into those games and get to them and finish them, because they either are great games I already know, or they look like they're really good games that I'd like to play. But there's actually 3 games that I've been messing around with for many, many years that I would like to just finish. It's shameful, honestly, that as somebody who likes to play games, that I've never finished these 3 games, but I've started and stopped them multiple times over the past 20 plus years, and I really would like to focus on getting them finished this year. So the first game is Super Mario World. So I've started and stopped this game so many times. Like most people, I probably played it very casually, off and on at different times, but I've never actually sat down, worked my way through the whole game, and actually beat it. As many times as I've been playing this ever since it was released way back in the early 90s, and I really need to finish this game. So the second game that I have is a game that I actually, it's probably the only game in my entire collection of games that I have that I've actually held on to from when I actually originally bought it. Most of the other games that I have that I played back in the old days are games that I've gotten rid of and then of course picked back up as I've gotten back into collecting and stuff like that. But this game, Final Fantasy VII, is the only game that I've held on to the entire time that I don't even know why, to be truthful with you, but it was probably because I've wanted to finish it. The funny thing about it is when this game came out back in the late 90s, I didn't even own a PlayStation. I actually owned an N64. I never owned a PlayStation 1. At the time, my roommate, he had a PlayStation and I had an N64, so if we wanted to play one of the other systems, we would just be like, hey man, I want to play your system. Okay, that's cool. So I picked this game up and played a good ways into it, but just never got finished playing the game. So I'm definitely going to be looking to finish this game this year. The final game, I actually don't even own it on physical cart anymore. I had it way back in the old days when I got rid of my stuff from the N64. I just haven't picked it back up again. I'm going to be picking it up for sure because I really want to finish it. I started it on the N64. I never finished it. I started it on the Wii, the eShop. Never finished it. It's been a couple of times I've done that. I love the game, but it's Majora's Mask. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Young Link returns to your N64 in Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Trapped in a strange parallel world where Armageddon looms just 3 days away, Link must recover his stolen ocarina to save this world. Now magical masks transform him into creatures of power, while bold new creatures cross his path, charmed with luck, both good and bad. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask for your Nintendo 64. Time is running out.
So that's it. Thanks you guys for watching my video. I know it was a long one. If you guys have any resolutions that you're looking to do with your gaming this year, let me know in the comments. I think it'd be neat to listen to what you guys got to say. I love reading some comments. It really makes you feel connected to the other members of the video game community that are out there. I'm going to sit back now. I'm going to drink a little bit of this 1623 Stout, just a delicious local beer. And I think I'm going to play myself a little bit of Super Mario RPG. So until next time, see you guys.